Hello everyone and welcome to my first Office tutorial. Today we're going to be taking a look at Microsoft Word. So the topics that are going to be covered in this video include table of contents. In order to make a table of contents, we're also going to look at editing styles, adding page numbers to our document, and adding section breaks. We're also going to look at making a table of figures and adding a reference list and also adding in-text citations into our document. Oh, wrong document. Okay, here's our sample document here. So in order to make a table of contents, the first thing we're going to want to do is make some headers in our document. So as we can see, here's some text that's supposed to be a header, but it's not currently formatted as a header. So in order to make this a header, what I'm going to do is, from the Home tab, we're going to go to the Styles group and click Heading 1. And there we go, that's a heading. And this is a heading. Now if we wanted background information to be a subheading of objective, we would just make it heading 2, and then it would show up properly in the table of contents. It would be a subheading. But as we can tell, background information is a separate heading altogether because it's listed 2. If it was listed 1.1, then we would want to make it a heading 2, but it's not. So we're going to want to make it just a regular heading 1. A faster way to make headings is to highlight all your text and then press Ctrl-Alt-1, and that'll make it a heading 1. If you press Ctrl-Alt-2, it'll be heading 2. Ctrl-Alt-3 is heading 3, and so on. But we just want all these to be heading 1s for now. Okay, so our headings look great. The next thing we're going to want to do is add page numbers. This way Word will know what page to put each heading on in the table of contents. So we're going to go Insert, Page number. You can put the page numbers wherever you want. I'm going to put it in the bottom of the page in the middle. There we go. So now our page numbers are added. I'm actually going to this is not actually what we want because, as we can tell, this should be the first page of our report, but it's page 3 because Word started counting right from our cover page. It called it page 0. So we're actually going to format this and make it so that this will be the first page, and this is where Word will start counting our page numbers. In order to do this, what we're going to do is add in a section break. So we're going to make some space here by pressing Shift-Enter, and now we have another line here. We're going to go Layout, Breaks, Section Breaks, Continuous. It doesn't look like anything actually happened, but if we go to Show Hide View, we can tell we have a section break continuous. I'm actually going to move that up a little bit. There we go. Perfect. So as we can tell now, if I exit the Show Hide view, or the Show Hide paragraph breaks, I should say, it's now counting this section independently of the first section, which is great. That's exactly what we wanted. But we don't want it to start from 0. So in order to format our page numbers, we're going to go Insert, Insert, Page Numbers, Format Page Numbers. Instead of start at 0, we're going to want to start at 1. And there we go, 1, 2, and 3 for our references. So that's great. Gonna fix that. There we go. And now we can just remove the page numbers from here because we don't want our table of figures or our table of contents or our cover page to have page numbers. So there we go. So now we should be ready to insert our table of contents. So I'm going to remove this. Press References, Table of Contents, Automatic Table of Contents. And there we go. So that looks great. Now we're going to want to make some cosmetic changes to our document. So because our text is Times New Roman, we're going to want to make our headings Times New Roman as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click here, right click there, modify, and change the font from Calibri Light to Times New Roman. And there we go. Now all of our headings are Times New Roman instead of Calibri Light. Now if I go up to our table of contents, as we can see, it didn't change our table of contents font. If we want to change this to Times New Roman as well, what we need to do is click on this little arrow here. This will show all the styles that exist in our document. This text here is currently the hyperlink style. So we want to right click, modify this one, and change this from Calibri body to Times New Roman as well. And there we go. We also might want to change our table of contents heading. I'm going to change this table of contents. We might want to change this heading from Calibri to Times New Roman as well. So modify, Times New Roman, and there we go. So that looks great. All of our page numbers are formatted correctly, and everything looks good. So our table of contents is done. So our next topic will be the table of figures. So in order to make a table of figures, obviously we need some figures. So if you click on the Insert tab and click Pictures, as you can see, I have some figures here that I want to insert into my document. That's a bit too big. I'm going to make that a bit smaller and center it. There we go. And if I go here, I'm going to insert, or actually, I'm going to bring that back up. Oh, I don't want this center though. There we go. Bring that back down. And I want to add in my second figure here. Pictures, figure 2. Okay, great. So now, in order to give these figures a caption, you right click, insert caption. So you can call these whatever you want. I'm just going to call this figure 1, sample business process. Okay, so that looks good. It automatically centered because our figure is centered. And, oh, I want to bring that back up again. Oh, I don't have much space here. That's okay. Insert caption, figure 2, message, business process. Again, doesn't really matter the caption. I'm just going to name it whatever, just for the purposes of this video. Bring that back up. Okay, great. So now we have 2 figures with captions. So again, adding a table of figures is really easy. All you have to do is come to where you want it, references, insert table of figures. There's a bunch of options here. You can play around with these if you want. I wanted the dots, just like the table of contents, and click OK. And there we go. Put that on one page. And as we can see, it's already Times New Roman, which is great. If you wanted to change the style, you could easily go here, click modify, and change it to however way you want. But no, it looks great. So I'm going to want to make this table of figures. Make a heading here. And now I don't want our table of figures to show up in our table of contents. If I did, I could go make this a heading 1, update table of contents, and then our table of figures would show up there with the wrong page number. But I don't want our table of figures in the table of contents. So an easy way to fix this is to go down and make this a TOC header. It'll look exactly the same as a regular header because we modified it earlier to make it Times New Roman, which is great. So it looks identical. All you have to do is update this table, and there we go. Because this is a table of contents header, not a regular header, it won't show up in the table of contents, which is great. So there we go. So that's a table of figures, and we have the table of contents and the table of figures done. Our next step is going to be making the reference list. So I have identified a place in the document where I want to cite something. So this is a source, or sorry, this is a quote from a source. So I want to insert a citation here. So this is the source here, Real Life BPMN. I would recommend reading it. It's a good book. But anyway, in order to insert the source, or insert the citation, what we want to do is manage sources. So you go from the Home tab to the References tab and click Manage Sources. I already have a source here, but I'll just delete that. And you want to click New. Now, and you're going to want to fill in this information. It's going to ask you what type of source you're working with. For my sake, it's a book section because I got this from a book. I actually have all the information here, so I'm going to haul this over so I can read from it. Okay, perfect. So, yeah, manage sources. I'll delete this one yet again and go new. So, yeah, so it's asking us for what type of source. We want a book section. It's going to ask us for the author. This is the author of the book. I'm going to press edit. because this book actually has two authors. So, and don't ask me to pronounce them because I have no idea. But anyway, I'm going to type these in. So Freund. That's his last name. His first name is Jacob. I can pronounce that. The other guy's name is, I'm going to have to copy and paste this because there's a special U. So let me copy. Let me add this in again. Freund. Jacob. Add. That's one author. This is his last name. This is his first name. Add. Okay. So there we go. Oh, I think there's some white space. Accidentally added in this one. It's not that big. Oh, yeah, it's not that big of a deal. I don't think it really matters what order they come in. As you can see, there's some white space here, but we're not going to mind that. So the title of the book is Real Life BPMN. The book author is the same. So I'm just going to copy, Control C, Control V. There we go. I'm also going to do that. Book title, Real Life BPMN. Oh, I actually made a mistake. This is supposed to be the title of the section that you're citing. So 1.1.1 definition is the title of the section. The year is 2016. Pages, it's just page 15. City, we don't know, so we're just going to leave that blank. And publisher is Create Space Independent Publishing Platform. Okay, so now we have our source added in, which is great. So now we're going to want to insert citation, and there we go. It adds in the citation for us, which is great automatically. Well, not automatically, but you get what I'm saying. We don't need to manually type in the citation, so that's great. So now what we're going to want to do is get our reference list. Oh, so just remove that. Click here. Bibliography, references. And there we go, automatically generated, which is great. So I believe that's everything for this video. As you can tell by the managing sources, there's quite a list of different sources. I might make its own video on sourcing one day. But yeah, if you want to see more, hit like and subscribe. Thanks.